story is propaganda and scare tactics. Who's the boogeyman now? For a long time we have been told here in Sweden who to be afraid of. And this relates, of course, to the political debate where one party is excluded. They were supposed to be the scapegoat of our times, but it seems they have made it past that stage now, and they're now becoming a big player in future political discussion and debate. Which is quite sad, actually, because for about 20 years now, people have been angry and mad at each other, screaming, even killing each other over, this exclusion. And now they're starting to become the top player. And in the recent polls, they were the biggest party as of now. Yeah. And this is also going back to the media. It's very important for the citizens here in Sweden to know what terrorist-classed organizations think about Trump and others, but mainly Trump. It's very interesting to know what Al-Qaeda thinks about Trump and what's going on in America. It's also important for us to know what ISIS thinks of Trump as a president. I have no good explanation for this. Perhaps some international viewer has heard similar stories in their countries. I hope we can figure this out somehow. We have propaganda incorporated in school. We have texts about the political parties, and we have actually, political role playing in the school where children can vote and represent the different parties. And as you may have figured, the excluded party is not a very popular party to, role play. Or at least when I was in school, that was the situation. I assume it's a little bit different now because they've grown and so forth. But when I was in school, we had this role playing where we got to vote and discuss the results and read about political parties and everything. And this excluded party, the Sweden Democrats, they were extremely low in these polls. But the discussion on why the difference between the real voting and the school role-playing voting, why there was such a big discrepancy between them was not discussed so much. At least not in my environment. Anyway, we have propaganda. We have a few good names here in Sweden, a few good newspapers also, of course. We have two men called Wolfgang Hansson and Anders Lindberg, and a female in the same media outlet called Lena Melin. And it's quite funny, actually. A few weeks ago I just made a Google search for the names and went to the tab News, and there you can see a list of all their articles for some time, and I think you can see some patterns there, and I hopefully can show it in this video by putting in some images. We have had, the top boss of the newspaper Aftonbladet, which the former three people work for. The boss there, he went on and became the boss of the Swedish state television. So the ties are very tight here, you know. State television and the free media, they have close relations. And just a few odd cases. The state media, they censor facts here in Sweden. So recently we had a case where a man was sentenced to 10 years in prison plus deportation. But when the Swedish state television report about this, they only said that it was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So they leave out, you know, facts that seem to be, you know, of some kind of value or importance. So they selectively give you the truth or their reportings, to say, and they hide certain aspects of it. They also censor images of criminals and offenders, even when the police don't, or even in cases where the police needs help or asks for help of the public to solve crimes. The Swedish state television still find it appropriate to censor images of offenders. But this is only certain in some cases and some areas, of course. Because if there's a successful person, Swedish person, then it's very okay to put the picture up there. Anyway, next chapter.